the men and women that serve our military in every capacity. We are the best in the world because of professionalism, because of honor, integrity, and the utmost respect for the chain of command. I have been disappointed at some of the rhetoric surrounding this issue because I think it impugns some of the military leadership in this country, especially, frankly, some of the civilian leadership. And I would like to remind, for the record, this country that Secretary Gates, you were selected by President Bush to lead the Department of Defense. I think you represent the highest tradition of civilian leadership of our military that we may have ever had in this country. And I want to congratulate you for that, because I think you've set a great example for all that will follow you, that you can serve two parties, you can serve two presidents, and always stay focused on what your function is, and that is to defend this country and to promote the professionalism, the integrity, and the honor of America's military. My recollection is that President Truman did something that was beyond controversial when he integrated the armed services in 1948. And it was more than a decade later that this Congress began to seriously look at the Civil Rights Act. I would ask anybody on the panel that can comment on this what the acceptance is of changing this policy compared to the acceptance that was within the military at the time that President Truman integrated the troops.
Senator, let me try to answer that. I spent a considerable amount of time in the work on this report looking at that period of racial integration. I was surprised to find out that there actually were surveys done of the military back then. The sample sizes were much, much smaller, like 3,000 or 4,000 service members then. But the opposition to racial integration ran very high. It was like the 70 or 80% number, and that's reflected in the report. In addition, we were dealing with much larger numbers. The military then was about 8 million. By 1945, black soldiers were about 700,000. And this was at a period of time before integration had been accepted in civilian society.
Secretary Gates, if this policy is repealed, would it lead to a special set of benefits or entitlements for any gay or lesbian members of the military?
I think one of the important contributions of the report and in its recommendations is that there not be any special class or special protected class, that everybody be treated the same. Everybody would be subject to the same discipline, the same standards. Admiral Mullen addressed this earlier.
And what about on the recruitment process? Is there going to be any questions asked about sexual orientation?
No, there would be no need for that.
And would there be any special diversity programs or tracking in terms of us trying to have some kind of quota or any attempt to distinguish from one member to the other based on sexual orientation?
No, there would be, people would be evaluated and promoted on the same basis that people are evaluated and promoted today.
There have been a couple questions about integration of integration of the military, integration of women, and yes, we have had our challenges. There's no question about that. But categorically, for the last 40 years, from my experience, we are in a much better place as a military because of those steps taken when they were taken.